we're looking at the brand new firmware update by Panasonic. This is an incredible firmware update available for the S5II and the S5IIX, and it's completely free. And on top of that, you'll see why I decided to go for this and get rid of my Canon R7. So a few weeks ago, I compared my Canon R7 against my S5II to see which would be the best wildlife camera. Now, in that video, I concluded that it was so close that I might as well hold on to my R7. It was definitely better at picking up subjects and tracking subjects. However, I found out that my S5II would get critical focus. When it got focus, it would land critical focus more. It was odd. I thought there was some sort of voodoo going on. This was really making it hard for me to decide which just to stay with. And that's why I decided to just, well, stay with both. However, after this firmware update, I want to get some of my money back because it's such a no-brainer now. Now, this firmware update includes improvements to the autofocus, improvements to the image stabilization, proxy recording, cloud recording. It is an incredible and free update. I'm really happy about it. Now, my warning would be when new firmware is released, always wait about a week or two before downloading it. Don't do what I've done and just get it on day one. And what I wanted to do in these tests is I wanted to see how the camera performed before and after these updates. So the first thing I did is I took the camera down to my local park and I was just trying to track some of the local birds down there. So this is a grey-lag goose. And as you can see, it will put a square around the animal and it will track it really well, to be fair. It does a really good job. Now, the options are quite limited, as you can see by this menu system. There isn't too much to choose from. Well, that's all changed now, and this is the new menu system for the autofocus modes. There are motorsports, there's more options for wildlife. It's looking a little bit more meaty now. There's a lot more to get into, particularly animal eye autofocus. Now, as we all know, previously it would draw squares around the subject, but now you will get a square on the subject's eye instead. And this is some of the footage I got. Now, I had to move on from my park because our horrendous weather just meant I decided to go to a bird hide. It was a lot easier. And you can see how well it does at tracking these. It's not 100% perfect. Sometimes the square will not quite land on the eye. Sometimes it will land just around the eye. Shooting at 6.3 or 7.1, it's really not going to make much of a difference. And when I review these, they're almost all critically sharp. It's really impressive. Now, this makes getting rid of my R7 a lot easier because I ended up just getting the Sigma 150-600, a lens I had previously had a nightmare with, along with my S1. It's a much better, much more fun and much more inspiring experience. Fundamentally, the reason I wanted to do all this is because I want to do more wildlife videography, and I do think Lumix are better cameras for videography. And all of this is just the icing on the cake. And before you switch off, don't forget, if it can track animals like this, it's going to be able to track people. Animals are the hardest thing to shoot. So this is a good video to watch as a bit of an acid test for how well the camera is going to perform. Now, the next feature was really exciting for me personally. It goes back to my wildlife photography and my love of wildlife, and that is the pre-burst mode. In a recent Lumix Live, I had mentioned, let's put the pre-burst back into the camera, and to find out like a week later they were doing just that was really exciting. What is pre-burst? It simply means if you half press the shutter, it will keep banking photos, and when you fully press the shutter, it will store those photos. So if a bird's on a perch and you want to get it taken off, which is pretty much impossible to do unless by chance, pre-burst will get you that shot. Next up, we have proxy recording. Now, I have potentially some wildlife documentaries that I want to look at making, and I'm going over and over what my kit should be. And I look at other people's and they have these giant rigs, and I have to think, well, I'm a one-man band, I can't really bring that amount of gear with me, nor can I afford it. On the other hand, I do have gear that would give me an approximation of what they're using. However, then I'm got overloaded with kit. And what I'm getting at here is the Atomos Ninja, really. I can stick the Atomos Ninja on my camera and record ProRes files, which edit really nicely in my editing program. However, that means I have another piece of equipment I have to bring out with me, which is added weight and added potential for things to go wrong. So this proxy recording is great because a proxy file, instead of recording 4K, you will have options to record in 1080p or 720, and there's a lower option than that as well. So essentially what you're doing is you're recording it in both resolutions, but the lower resolution is much easier to edit on your PC. And once you've edited it all you do is you swap out the clips. So again, this is just like a bit of a godsend for me, because I know I don't have to bring my Atomos out with me now. I can do it all in camera. And even though I can't use the camera to cloud out in the field, anybody who is doing professional corporate work, this is going to be awesome. To do this, you need an account with frame.io. Once you have that set up, you can start sending your proxy files directly to the cloud from your camera, but you do need a Wi-Fi connection. There are some bits and bobs that don't quite work. You can't use the full 6K open gate. You can do it from Cinema 4K or DCI 4K downwards. But I think for a lot of jobs, you're not really going to be shooting open gate necessarily. And I think this is going to be perfect for that. A corporate interview, for example, or anything really. It's a really useful and welcome feature. And it's a bit of a game changer, especially for any corporate or videographers out there. Finally, we've got to talk about the image stabilization. The S5II already has the best image stabilization out of any full frame camera system. Obviously the S5IIX as well. This is just the next step. It's mad to me how much they can squeeze out of this camera. So there's a new high stabilization mode. Now this will crop in even more, but it will mean you will avoid getting your warpy corners, and it is just so good, and I'll demonstrate it here. So this is with image stabilization completely off, very shaky, especially using that Sigma 150 to 600 lens. This is with standard, and this is with the high image stabilization. So this does crop in, but you're going to get incredibly stable footage, and potentially you can use super 35mm lenses on there as well. I'm really excited, as you can tell, and I'm really grateful that Panasonic announced and launched this as a free firmware upgrade. Now, as I said, this is also available on the S5IIX. I actually preferred the S5II, not because it's a better camera. It's clearly not the S5IIX, has more video options, but it's the value for money. You can get this camera at such a low price point, and you're getting so much out of it. And that footage that comes out of it is just gorgeous. It's really, really good. It's filmic. And to have all these features added on is an absolute cherry on top. If you've liked this video, let me know in the comments below. Are you going to be using this firmware? What do you think of this camera system? If you've got anything useful out of this video, hit the sub button so you can keep informed of all my future videos as well. Now, we are outside, so I might attempt to do another video. So keep posted, and I'll catch you all next time.